Hey, podcast fam. Welcome to another episode of Motherhood in Black and White. I'm Kaanji.
I'm Tara.
And this week, Tara and I are going to be sharing with you all the 5 things that we wish we knew before we became moms. I think their list could be a lot longer than 5.
The list could be a lot longer than 5. And the list that I know of things since I've had a kid is even longer than that. The older he gets, the more I realize I don't know much.
Yeah. And the things that we knew about raising infants and
Right.
caring for infants is totally different than it is with this tween years.
Yes.
I know that the last couple of weeks have been a struggle for us in our house because we are dealing with the tech battle and how to limit screen time and all the other stuff. And one of the things that I wish I knew before the pandemic started was how much time he would be spending in front of the computer.
Yeah, yes. We knew as it was happening and we were trying to sort everything out, we sort of leaned on it, right? Because we were like, well, we got to figure this out. So just watch this while we figure out what we're doing. And then now, I mean, it's just we haven't really pulled back much, and you know, we worry about it. Is it too much? Is moderation? I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah, and I don't think we know until we're at the end of this what is all going to look like and what it's all ultimately going to be.
Yeah,
because how do you just gauge if? Sorry, pardon the pun. How do you gauge if motherhood is successful? You know, we rely on our tagline. We're always constantly #doing the best we can.
Right.
But there are ways that we could and possibly should do better. And that's why let's share this list that we've compiled for our family.
We're going to do your 5 and we're going to do my 5.
Let's do 1 and 1.
Okay, we'll do it that way. Okay, perfect.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's perfect.
You can go first.
Oh man, I knew you were gonna make me go. Okay. So I didn't do these like in a top 5, bottom 5, so I'll just start out with one that was kind of funny, which is expensive baby shoes. Yeah, babies don't walk. So those really cute baby shoes. I mean, if you want to buy them. They're cute, but just know that they're just going to wear them one time and that's it. It's just for that one picture that you took.
Yeah. How many baby outfits did you have that Gage never wore?
Oh, so many.
Right.
First of all, Gage was born 9 pounds. So we skipped like the newborn clothes.
Yeah.
And so I had a whole stack of those and a whole stack of like little teeny tiny socks. Never fit that dude's foot. Never. And shoes too. So yeah, we had a lot of that stuff that he just never even wore.
So one of the things that we can say is don't waste your money on the expensive baby shoes.
Yes.
Save them for the pre-teen boy shoes where they must have the
right.
Kobe sneakers that cost $225.
That's right. And they'll try to get you. Those shoes are super cute.
But their feet grow so big, so quick.
And they don't walk, guys. Infants don't walk. They don't even need shoes.
No.
Please listen to me. Get them cute socks and move on.
When we went back to school a couple of weeks ago, I didn't do back to school shopping because we hadn't gone anywhere. And then I was looking at my kid and I said, man, you don't have any shoes.
Yes.
Because the last time he wore closed shoes was in March.
Oh my
And all summer he was just wearing flip-flops and sandals. And during the pandemic, we really stayed close to home. And so when he tried on his shoes before he went to school right around Labor Day, it was like, ooh, we have to go shopping.
Yeah,
we had to go
tell
shopping.
You, the shoe thing is one of the places that I constantly feel like I'm failing. I cannot stay ahead of that kid's shoe size. It'll be like 2 weeks into him saying, my feet kind of hurt a little bit. And me looking and going, oh, well, I can see your toes coming out of those shoes. So I guess you need a new size. Shoes are tricky. So what's yours? Number 5.
Well, this is in no particular order. But one of the things that I wish I knew before I had my son was that it is so important to have a circle. A circle is essential.
Yeah.
And when you make that circle of friends and supporters and people that you can rely on, you have to be intentional with that choice. And, I would love to have a circle where I'm at the center of it because that's just who I am.
It's just nature.
Yeah. But if you put your kid at the center and you put yourself out on one of the spokes on this wheel, it just runs a lot smoother.
I think that's a big one. I am chronically self-sufficient in all ways and was like, no, I got it. I can do this. I got this, And I would often I had a circle, but I would always find myself trying to give and not ask. And so I think that was for me, it was important not just to know that I have a circle or to have a circle, but to ask for help and support from those people when I needed it. Cause that's where I struggle.
It's so essential.
Yeah.
I would also advocate for making sure that the circle is as diverse as possible,
Yeah.
and not just diverse in terms of ethnicity or gender, but diversity of thought. You know, it's really important to make sure that we surround ourselves with people that are like-hearted, but not necessarily like-minded, because we can just start to figure out where we are and what we're doing when you take into consideration some of the viewpoints of others.
Yeah.
And then let those people into the circle and realize, okay, we're all in this for the benefit of this kid that we all love and all of our kids. And we want to just, you know, see them succeed and do the best for them. So,
yeah, I think you're right. There were several people, I think people assume like when you say get a circle, it needs to be like a circle of moms. And I had, you know, single girlfriends and moms or just couples. I mean, you got to have a lot of different people bringing different things to the table.
absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah. So I'm throwing it back to you.
All
T.
right. So my next one. So the next thing I'll say that I wish I had known, and, you know, people say it to you, but either I didn't hear it or I just didn't understand the complexity of it, is that not only would I not feel like myself for maybe almost 2 years before I really started to feel a little bit like myself again, but that I still molecularly have never been the same since I had a kid, right? So
I don't
understand
understand the big words that are coming out of your mouth.
So, you know, I had my son, and of course, you're different for a while externally, you know, hormonally. There's a lot of things that are different when I had my son. But even as I started to kind of get the outside looking a little bit normal again, you know, starting to get back to things I liked and, you know, back to work. And I just expected to, sooner than it happened, feel like I did before. You know, we've talked about before, you know, kid and after kid. And right. It was probably 2 years before I remember walking out of my house and being like, oh, okay, I think I feel a little bit more like myself. But even now, 10 years later, there are some things that have never really gone back. I think I'm always going to be just forever altered by having him. And I don't think I realized that was going to be the case.
I realized I struggled with losing the baby weight for, how old is Roman now? 11 and a half years. When I gave birth to Roman, I was like, I'm going to give myself 6, 7, 8 months to lose the weight. And the fact that I weighed the exact same 11 years later, I can't really blame it on baby weight anymore. I have to blame it on what it is. And that's my love of Doritos and all things crunchy, margaritas, Mexican food. So I would love to blame it on the baby weight, but it's just comfort food.
This is who I am now.
Own it. That's right. I am forever molecularly altered.
That's right.
Because of this baby.
That's my phrase for it. What about you?
And because I love food, my next one is that you can never have enough snacks in the house.
Okay. So on my list, we're going to co-opt both of this.
Okay.
So the next one on my list was going to be like, you have to feed them all the time.
All the time.
Forever.
Well, here it is with us and our spouses. I don't know if it was with you, but you know, we can go all day without eating.
Yes.
And intermittent fasting is a thing. It's a trend. My husband and I have done it at different points in our marriage. It's like, I'm just not going to eat for 36 hours. Yeah. You cannot do that with a child and not have child protective services called on you. You know?
That's right.
Like, don't they eat all the time?
All the time.
And it's like, you're a growing child. And it's like, oh, dude, why are you eating again? Why are you eating again? And my heart goes out to people who have multiple children.
I don't know how they're doing that.
And how they navigate it. But I also, I read an article that only children tend to be the most picky eaters because they get catered to all the time.
Really?
Like when we grew up, you were just eating what was on the table.
Right.
Like now I feel like I'm running a diner.
Yeah.
Like I cook for myself. I cook for my husband, who would probably laugh when he hears that because he's like, really, lady? Do you cook? Do you know? It's like I cook for my kid. And I'm making these custom made to order meals for him. It's like, well, what do you want for dinner tonight? When I was growing up, it was like you were eating what's on the table or you're going to bed hungry.
Right.
You know, and I'm like, no, he has to have all the food all the time.
Well, we're going to have a whole a separate episode on that because Gage is also very picky. And my husband and I both look at each other. We're just like, I think we messed this up.
Yeah.
We didn't do this right.
Can we really revisit that? Because Roman just eats the same 5 things.
Same.
Yeah. One of the things he does eat, and he has eaten since he was 2 years old, is salmon.
Yes.
That's one of his favorite foods. And when he was a toddler, he'd go to some of our friends' houses and they would ask him like, Roman, what do you want to eat? You want macaroni and cheese or grilled cheese sandwich? And he would say, salmon. I want grilled salmon, please. And one of my friends called me. She said, "What toddler asked for salmon?" and was legit upset that she didn't have any in her house. And I said, "Listen, next time he comes over for a play date, I'm going to need you to
I'm
go to Costco and get you some salmon." So now you know. And that's one of his favorite foods.
That's hilarious.
So that was your third one.
That was going to be my next one, which is that you have to keep feeding these kids.
Okay. So I'm going to keep on going.
Please.
Okay.
Please.
This next one is because I have worked a lot of hours and been outside of the home a lot since Roman was born. I went back to work when he was 18 months old. It would just be to make the moments matter. You know, they don't really care about the amount of time that you spend with them. It's the time that you do spend with them. We need to be fully present.
Yeah.
It amazes me the things that he remembers about what I've done in his life and how I've shown up and when I've shown up. You know, he remembers all of the games I've gone to. He remembers when I volunteered at the field day at the school.
Yeah.
He doesn't remember all of the things behind the scenes and everything like that, but it's just making each moment with your kid and your family really matter.
Yeah. Well, and I think we've all kind of learned a little bit during this, you know, quarantine time, because we've all had to spend a lot more time together, you know, if we're doing it right.
Much time.
Yeah. And I think that was one of the things that Gage has said, like, even though I have felt like it's a house on fire most of the time, I think he's really loved us being at home together, even though he's attached to the iPad or whatever. He likes us being in the house together during the day. I can tell he's really enjoyed it. Even when we're not talking directly to each other, just being together. He loves that.
And how do you feel about it?
I love it sometimes. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I do need a break. I mean, just mental energy wise, I do need to take my breaks. But there have been really cool moments where I've been able to take a break and have lunch with him, or take a break and go walk around the block with him, or we've stopped and like watched an episode of something on Netflix for a break. And so we've had moments like that. And it is kind of nice to just, especially knowing that he's over halfway out of the house, you know, you start to look at these double-digit years like, oh, this is going faster than I thought it would, you know?
We have more years behind us than we do in front of us with these little humans in our lives. And that's why when we were thinking about what we could do as an episode, it was important to me to do this now, because in our episode, we talked with Sabrina Parsons about the different stages of her motherhood journey, having older kids. It's like, well, what is that going to look like? But let's reflect a little bit about what it was like. And if people are at different stages, if people are still in the beginning of their motherhood journey, let them know like, okay, well, this is something that I wish someone had shared with me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. The other thing I'll say that's kind of in line with what we were saying, I'm a little bit different, is I wish someone had explained to me that kids don't grow or progress in a straight line. Right. So when I first had Gage, and I think this happens to a lot of people, you know, they give you all these like milestones and these things they're supposed to do by a certain time, or like, oh, don't, you know, I know the newborn phase sucks, but at 10 weeks they start smiling. So just hang in there, you know, and I felt like I was always like just hanging on to the next milestone. Yeah. And even as he started to grow and it started to get a little bit less linear, where it was like, well, should he be doing this by now, or should he be doing that by now? Or, you know, or I look at other kids and I see, you know, they're a little better at this than he is, or things like that. I'm just coming to realize more and more, especially as he's gotten into these double digits, that it's just not a straight line. Like sometimes it's a couple of steps forward, sometimes it's a couple steps back. And, you know, they just develop skills when they develop it, and they grow into who they're going to be in whatever direction that is. And it's crazy that we don't A, have any control over it, and B, that there's nobody can write the book that gives you the step-by-step, because there is no step-by-step, you know?
Yeah. Looking at the milestones, did you feel like at some points of your motherhood journey, you were so consumed with looking forward to what was going to happen instead of just enjoying and being fully present in what was happening?
Yeah, I did that a lot, especially when he was like maybe in that first year. Yeah. You know, because it is hard when you're in it, especially in the very beginning, and you're just kind of, you know, sleep deprived and, you know, just feel insane, and you're just ready for that to stop. So you're just like, what month does that stop?
That's what you're Googling, and that's like the parenting guide to when does this end?
At what point will I stop feeling like this? You know, so yeah, I don't do it as much now. But I would say maybe for the first 5 years, like until he got into school, because you're like counting down when he starts school, and I feel like for a lot of that first 3 or 4 or 5 years, I was constantly like worried about the next milestone. Yeah.
Taking it back a little bit to when Roman was an infant, the first night he slept through the night, I was ecstatic. I mean, of course, I was up the whole night worrying.
Right.
If he was when he wake up, I kept going.
Pinching and poking him.
Yeah. But then he slept through the whole night, and I thought,
you won the lottery?
Yes, crossed the finish line. Like this whole sleep training thing, we're done. Yeah. He's now sleeps through the night.
Lucky.
And he didn't sleep through the night again for like another 5 months after that. But I went on Facebook and I celebrated that victory. Like, my child slept through the night last night and he's only 4 months old. And yay, we've sleep trained. And other parents were like, you just wait. Yes.
Yeah, Gage did that. Like he did pretty well at somewhere in the 8 to 10 mark. He started to stretch some hours together, and I was so excited about it. But then Gage went through, like I was saying about the straight line, Gage went through a really strange sleep regression, like around 18 months. And so at a year and a half, I was like losing sleep again, and I was losing my mind. And I was like, hey, Facebook, you know how we do, right? Is this happening to anybody else? And everybody's like, they just do what they do. They go through these phases. I'm like, that is not what I was promised.
The next thing that I would like to share, and I hope it comes across somewhat coherently, is there is a book that changed my life in terms of how I relate to other people. And that book was called The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. The full title is The 4 Agreements, A Practical Guide to Personal Freedom. But I wish that I had been able to take that book and apply it to motherhood. Yeah. Because it's not just a guide to personal freedom, it's a guide to parenting freedom. And there were 4 key principles, and they're the 4 agreements that you're supposed to make with yourself. Those are agreements that I would have taken and put into the context of parenting. Okay. And as I mother my child, I still like to look at these agreements, and these are agreements that I try to make with him every day. And do you mind if I take a couple of seconds to share the 4 agreements with you? Okay. So the first one is to always be impeccable with your word. And it's important to me to come to my son from a place of honesty and authenticity. And so he knows that he can trust me. Yeah. And I try to always be impeccable with everything I say. We had a falling out when he realized that I was the person putting the money under the pillow, Oh, yeah. Because he had trusted everything I said. Right. And when he found out, he was 9.5 or 10 years old. And a parent of another friend of his said, that's not real. And when he came home, he's like, Mommy, I heard that it's not real. He's like, I'll never trust you again. So what I try to do is always be impeccable with my word. Yeah. And the second thing is to not take anything personally.
Oh my God, so important with kids.
With kids, especially when they have these little fits of anger.
So important.
And to not, sometimes they just go through stuff and it is not about you.
100%.
Right? Yes. Have you found that?
Yeah, we just had this conversation with friends of ours last night. We were talking about our kids and we were talking about, these little tiffs we get into. And I was sharing that. I was like, I had to check myself at some point, because I realized I was getting pulled off sides by, at the time, like a 6-year-old. Like, why is a 6-year-old, why am I letting a 6-year-old hurt my feelings like this? You know what I mean? Like, this is not about me. It's so hard.
Yeah. And they can push your buttons like no one else.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because I think it's like, oh my gosh, the worst part of me is in you.
Yeah. I'm looking at myself. This
yes.
little version of myself, and you are making me very angry. It's so tough with kids. And I think too, because we see them, and my love for him is so unconditional, and they are brought here to just test the bounds of that. Yeah. And they don't do it on purpose. That's part of the human experience.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And recognizing that he's having his own human experience that's completely separate from me.
Right.
It's important.
But I take it all personally. I think that he's a reflection of me. And that's what I say a lot of times, like, you're a reflection of me, but he's not.
He's not.
He is his own person, his own human. He's growing and exploring and experiencing this world.
Yep.
And I am just a vessel and a vehicle to kind of help guide him along.
And sort of a witness.
A witness to it. And it's incredible. I feel so blessed to be his mother.
Yeah.
The third thing is to not make assumptions. Oh. Because sometimes when you have assumptions and you make these assumptions, it could lead to suffering. Yeah. One of our interns said to me the other day, Miss Kaanji, that pain is necessary. Suffering is optional.
Yeah.
And motherhood is going to be a journey filled with pain, but how you are able to deal with that pain, the suffering part of it, purely optional.
Yeah.
And I love that principle, and I love trying to apply it to motherhood. The very last one is to always do your best.
Yeah.
And that's on a personal level. That's something that I make sure that I speak over my son every single day when I can. Like, just leave the house, do your best, be your best.
Yeah.
When I leave him, that's what I say. It's like, do your best, be your best.
Yeah. I'll tell you a funny story from last week that's right in line with all that. And so Gage is still doing at home school, and we were going through his assignments, and I was making sure he turned everything in, and I didn't think he'd done a very good job on one of his writing assignments. And I told him that. And he told me that I wasn't being very supportive, and that he gave it to his teacher, and she said it was fine, and I'm not his teacher, and said if she said it was okay, then I needed to back off. And I looked at him and I said, you know what? You're 100% right. I am not your teacher, and I'm not grading your assignments. But I think what we will do is I'll let you turn that in, and then I'm just going to talk to her because I think I need to check my expectations.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay. And so then the next day, before I could even talk to his teacher, his progress report came out, and he got like all A's, like all 99s, 98s. And so I came home and I said, hey, Gage, yesterday I said your work was very good, and you're right. I wasn't being supportive, and you got all A's, and I apologize, and I'm sorry. I'm going to, do my best to just help support you in your schoolwork and let you and your teacher figure it out. And he was
kudos.
like, okay.
Kudos.
Yeah. I'm doing my best, y'all.
And he's doing his best. There
Yeah.
we go. And so we have reached the end of our list. What is the last thing that you would like to share?
The last thing for me is a little bit more specific, because I think it's so important, especially for new moms going into this journey. But I wish that I had known, people talked a lot about postpartum depression before I had Gage, and a lot of people talked about like the baby blues. And so I think I was expecting sadness, a little bit of it, just knowing hormonally that would come. But what I did not know is that there's actually a complete spectrum for postpartum hormonal changes that include not just depression, but anxiety. And that postpartum anxiety actually looks a lot more like rage and like uncontrollable anxiety and fear. But it's all sort of on the same spectrum and needs to be talked about at the same lengths.
Right.
And I was so unprepared for that. I was fully prepared for sad. I was fully prepared for, I'm probably going to be a little depressed. There's probably going to be a little bit of sadness. And so when it came out on the other side for me, it was actually more of postpartum anxiety, and it felt a lot more like rage.
Really?
And this really uncontrollable fear and rage. And I felt really ashamed. Like that felt like not okay.
Yeah.
Right. And now I've since, I got help for all of that. And I've since learned a lot more about postpartum anxiety and those feelings. And it's extremely normal, and it's extremely on brand for new moms. But I just don't think people talk about it very much.
Totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just, I wish I had known that there's more than one way to feel after you have a kid.
Yeah.
There's more than one way that's going to look different for everybody, and it's all okay.
Yeah. Super important to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that and being so vulnerable and open. And it makes my last thing sound so super trivial.
No. I brought it heavy, so you take it light. We're going to finish it out light.
Okay. So the one thing that I wish I knew before I became a mom,
yes,
is that I would never be able to do a jumping jack again.
They don't tell you that.
They don't. I've done CrossFit for many, many years. And I obviously, this because you were one of my indoor cycling students. But CrossFit was different after I had the baby.
A little bit different.
I was trying to do jumping jacks, and I realized that there are certain muscles that are activated when you do a jumping jack.
That pelvic floor is just never the same.
It's just never the same.
Never the same.
So if you are listening to this podcast and you have not yet experienced a delivery and you've not had a precipitous labor like I also had, then maybe you should start doing those Kegel or Kegel exercises.
Yeah, don't poo-poo those exercises. Those are very important, ladies.
Critical.
Keep that pelvic floor in shape.
So that is our list of some of the things that we wish we had known before we embarked on this motherhood journey.
Yeah.
I'm going to actually throw an audible here and say a sixth one.
Okay.
I also just wish I knew how fully and how deeply my heart could expand.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
who's the they? But people always say you never really experience unconditional love until you've had a baby. And Tara, you touched on that a little earlier.
Yeah.
It's so important that we are raising these kids, and sometimes we feel like we're not necessarily doing the right thing by them or for them.
Yeah.
But if you just do your best,
Yep.
try hard,
Yep.
and kind of trust the rest of it's going to work itself out. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Jason and I make jokes all the time. Like, we know we're doing the best we can. And, you know, even if we did it exactly right, he'd probably find some reason to be mad at us later on.
They're always
We're
going to
just
be
going
mad.
to let it roll. We're just going to do our best and let it go.
And listen to their podcast in 25 years.
Yeah.
Roman and Gage are going to have quite a podcast.
Oh my gosh.
Can you
I
imagine?
think they should do hey, Roman and Gage, I'm going to give you this idea right now. What you do is you listen to our podcast and then do your own podcast with commentary, because we talked about you guys so much. You guys will get your chance to come back.
Yeah, and come back they will. They'll be like,
That's
you
right.
thought I was going to take care of you,
That
old
isn't
lady.
even right.
I know. And here we are with these only kids. We put all of our eggs in this barrel, and they're going to be like, Tara, Kaanji, y'all need to find some place to live. When we're older and they're adults, they're going to listen to all this stuff back.
That's right.
Oh, man.
Expectations, guys.
We will see. It'll be so wonderful to see who they become.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so exciting.
Yes. With that, we would love if you were able to reach out to us and share some of the things that you wish you knew on your motherhood journeys. And maybe it's an area that we can revisit in another episode a little later on.
That would be fun. Yeah. Come see us on IG and share with us there. And then maybe we can come back and do a follow-up.
I love that
Some
idea.
new stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
That sounds fun.
And so with that, we are going to wrap up this episode. We thank you for spending time, for sharing space, and hopefully for sharing a few laughs with us.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We have so much fun getting the feedback. As always, remember that if you're listening to us on Apple or on Google, you can subscribe to the podcast. And on Spotify, you can follow us. We're also on the Amazon podcast platform, so you can find us anywhere you're listening to podcasts. Make sure you're leaving us those reviews, leaving us your feedback. Let us know how we're doing. We love to hear from you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, family. Take good care.